Boy, those were days. Oh, hey everyone. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince. And welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Spongebob Squarepants. What is there to say, other than the fact that it was one of my favorite cartoon shows that had ever come out of Nickelodeon during my childhood? This show had everything. Good varieties of animation, not just hand-drawn, but it also had some stop-motion effects and live-action elements, even hilarious jokes, memorable and lovable characters, and a great voice cast. Not to mention the fact that, well, I don't know if I should be saying this, but SpongeBob and Patrick did cameo in a choir show that I was in called A Tribute to America during my 6th grade year. Now, as I said before, I loved SpongeBob as a kid. I even saw SpongeBob's first theatrically animated film, which was released on fall 2004. Oh yeah, that also I should mention that was from the late 90s to the early 2000s, Nickelodeon has been producing and releasing animated films based on their shows. For example, there was Rugrats the movie from 1998, and it also gained a sequel, Rugrats in Paris from 2000. Also, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius got a movie in 2001 before it became its own show. And also there were other shows that got their own movies, such as Hey Arnold the movie from 2002, and also the Wild Thornberrys movie from 2002 as well, and also the Rugrats Go Wild. But, well, I did enjoy a few of the other Nickelodeon films that were released, like the Adventures of Tintin movie from 2011. There was also the Series of Unfortunate Events movie, which I enjoyed, and I included on my top 25 Halloween films. I also enjoyed Hotel for Dogs, Charlotte's Web with Dakota Fanning, even Spiderweb Chronicles, and Clock Stoppers. But there were 2 live-action adaptations of Nickelodeon shows that I actually hated, like mostly everyone else did. Like the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Megan Fox, which I'll talk about some other time. And, of course, I hated M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender movie. God, that movie should have been animated than a live-action piece of trash. Anyway, back to SpongeBob. His movie from 2004 was awesome. While the plot was about SpongeBob and Patrick going on a quest to retrieve King Neptune's crown while facing crooks, killers, monsters, including a huge diver which they call a Cyclops, and Plankton's Wrath. That film was packed with a few great songs and a rock number, and also hilarious jokes. Even Mr. David Hasselhoff had a nice cameo in it too. It even had a good message of accepting who you are, even if you act like a child or an adult. I know I can be like that too. My rating for this movie? 100%. Nowadays, I hate to say this, but I haven't been able to watch SpongeBob's newer episodes. And the reason is because the show is losing its touch after the first movie was done. No. It's because I hate the sitcoms that Nickelodeon airs. Yeah, I said that before when I blogged The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. Anyway, on the topic of SpongeBob, a few weeks ago, a new movie has been released to theaters, which made me feel like a kid again. Released on February 6, 2015, the movie is the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Now, let's get started. During a fight between the Krusty Krab and Plankton, the secret formula mysteriously disappears, and all of Bikini Bottom goes into a terrible apocalypse. The Bikini Bottom citizens go crazy, and they all believe that SpongeBob and Plankton stole the secret formula. The 2 new teammates create a time machine to get the secret formula before it disappears, and also go on some some weird places along the way, including a time parallax where they meet a time wizard named Bubbles, who is a dolphin, and the two later get to the time where the formula disappeared and take it back to the present day time. Then they all realize that it's a fake formula Plankton made when he was taking the real one, and the Bikini Bottom citizens try to destroy SpongeBob while Plankton runs away. SpongeBob later smells Krabby Patties, and so does everyone else, so the Bikini Bottom citizens follow it instead of destroying SpongeBob, and they all arrive at the bank of the surface. Everyone except, well, SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and Sandy, and a stowaway Plankton go back home, while the 6 characters are greeted by Bubbles, who takes them to the surface where a pirate is selling Krabby Patties. The team learns that they can write in a magical book, and it'll make whatever they write in it come true. They decide to turn themselves into superheroes and battle the pirate, while Plankton writes himself as a superhero as well. So, what did I think of this movie? I absolutely loved it. It felt like a great return to childhood, and a great return to 2D animation, well, mostly, after so many years. But I'll explain some more information about it in my Mustang notes. Now, following the release of the Spongebob Squarepants movie from 2004, producer Julia Pistol stated that a sequel film was unlikely, despite the film's successful box office performance. In a 2009 interview with Digital Spy, SpongeBob SquarePants writer and executive producer Paul Tibbitt was asked about the possibility of a sequel. He said, "I think that they are talking about doing that, but I haven't signed up for anything. We just feel like we've told so many stories that SpongeBob exists so well in this short 11-minute form." He further stated that making another film is a huge challenge. However, Tibbitt denied that a sequel is impossible to emerge, saying, "I wouldn't say no, but I don't know if there will be another one." Then, in 2010, Nickelodeon reportedly had been approaching the crews of the show to make another film adaptation. The network had long wanted to partner with Paramount Pictures to release another SpongeBob movie to help reinvigorate the series from its declining ratings. However, internal disagreement delayed collaboration. Then, on March 4, 2011, in an article by the Los Angeles Times, it was first reported that Paramount had another SpongeBob picture in development. Several months later, in July, Paramount formed its new animation unit called Paramount Animation. In the wake of the commercial and critical success of the 2011 computer-animated film Rango, and the departure of DreamWorks Animation upon completion of their distribution contract in 2012. Philippe Duman, the president and CEO of Paramount and Nickelodeon's parent company Viacom, officially announced on February 28, 2012, that a sequel was in development and slated for an unspecified 2014 release, saying that we will be releasing a SpongeBob movie at the end of 2014. Duman added that the film will serve to start off or be one of our films that start off our new animation effort. The film does feature live-action scenes directed by Mark Mitchell, the filming began on September 30th, 2013, and lasted through November 5th, 2013, on various locations in Savannah, Georgia, and Tybee Island. Now, the animation for the film was handed overseas by Rough Draft Studios in South Korea. Vincent Waller said, "We're getting animation back that is looking terrific. The sequel is a combination of traditional animation and live action as its predecessor was, and also uses computer-generated imagery handled by VFX in Melbourne, Australia, to render the characters in 3D. Sherm Cohen returned to work on the sequel when he previously worked on the Spongebob Squarepants movie as a character design and the lead storyboard artist, and left the show in 2005. Series animation director Tom Yasumi and Alan Smart worked on the film's exposure sheets, most of the character layout crew of the film are from the series. And as a preview of the upcoming Paramount films held in 2012, it first exhibited the film as a 3D feature film, with CGI-like animation, following the release of the Spongebob Squarepants 4D, The Great Jellyfish Rescue. Also, there was a 3D short release in early 2013 at the Nickelodeon Suites Resort Orlando. And also, that does make me think of a 4D ride I once rode at the San Diego Zoo a while back, which is about SpongeBob trying to get a pickle back from a Patrick robot, which was set up by Plankton. Anyway, executive also talked about perpetuating the 3D stereoscopy in the film. Director Tippett was asked on Twitter concerning what animation technique the film would have, and responded, "I don't want to spoil anything, but mostly 2D," which is great. And like I said, I've been saying many times, I don't mind CG, still. As long as it's a good story, I'm okay with it. The movie does contain a few stop-motion animation sequences by screen novelties as well, like the fish, news anchor man, and also the talking dolphin named Bubbles. And now, while the animation from hand-drawn to stop-motion to CG was awesome for this film, the things I really liked about this film were the comedy. A lot of stuff in the film also made me laugh a lot. And yes, some parts of the film were fart jokes, but they're funnier than the ones from other comedies I've seen before. And also some parts even brought back a lot of memories from the show, like the time machine, the theme song that's sung at the end, the superhero transformation, and the dolphin sensor sound, and more. And now it's time to talk about SpongeBob's gang and their voice actors. Oh, and also I'll talk about their superhero forms as well. Now, do these voice actors do a good job after so many years? Well, let's take a look. The star of the movie, SpongeBob Squarepants, is voiced by Tom Kenny, who's voiced Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh from 2011, and is also in, well, the mayor in the Powerpuff Girls show and movie, Mr. Willerstein in Disney's Meet the Robinsons. He was also, I hate to say this, Ham from the stupid Spaceship sequel. But not many people remember that he did lend his voice as an Al Bhed named Rin in Final Fantasy X and X-2. Now, SpongeBob hasn't changed a bit since he's still the same lovable goofball. Now, as for his invincible bubble form, he's like a muscle-bound sponge with the power to blow bubbles from his head. And he also uses the bubbles for speed as well. SpongeBob's best friend, Patrick, is voiced by Bill Figurbake, who's voiced Frosty the Snowman in Legend of Frosty the Snowman from 2005. Like SpongeBob, Patrick hasn't changed either. He's still the same lovable best friend SpongeBob has had in the show. When he's in his Mr. Super Awesomeness form, he has the power of ice cream, which is pretty silly at first, but it does come in handy later on. Next we have SpongeBob's neighbor and co-worker, Squidward Tentacles, who's voiced by Roger Bumpus. Now, for those who don't know, Squidward is like the grouchy squid who can't stand SpongeBob or Patrick, and loves to play his clarinet most of the time. Speaking of which, when Squidward becomes Sour Note, he uses clarinet to create off-key music sound waves. It's almost like saying, music is a weapon. Next we come to Mr. Krabs, voiced by Clancy Brown, who I've talked about before when I blogged the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street movie. However, there are two other films I know Clancy Brown to be in, such as, well, he was a minnow shark in The Little Mermaid 2, and he was also a lawyer and a sheriff in Annabelle's Wish, which is one of my favorite holiday films. Anyway, Eugene Krabs is SpongeBob's boss at the Krusty Krab restaurant and keeper of the Krabby Patty formula. When he becomes Sir Pinch-A-Lot, he's like a robot version of himself. He has like rocket packs on it, and his claws can detach from him and pinch enemies. Next we come to my favorite SpongeBob character, Sandy Cheeks, a squirrel from Texas voiced by Carolyn Lawrence, who did voice Cindy Vortex on Jimmy Neutron's show. Now, the reason why I love Sandy isn't just her perky Western personality, but I love her karate skills. Also, she's got a bigger role in this movie than she did in the first film. Her rodent form is also kick-ass. It makes her look like a giant live-action squirrel who can shoot nuts from her mouth like a machine gun. And next up, we have Plankton, voiced by Mr. Lawrence. Plankton mostly serves as the antagonist on the show, who tries to steal the Krabby Patty formula. Despite his small size, he's truly an evil genius, and has a computer named Karen as his wife. Now, in my eyes, every time a single word comes out of his mouth, he cracks me up a lot. Also to note is his superhero name, which is called Plankton. It makes him look like a huge muscular version of himself. And it would also make the Incredible Hulk jealous. And now it's time to talk about some new characters in the movie. Now, there's not a lot, but I think they deserve to be mentioned. Now, the first new character I need to mention is the villain, Burger Beer the Pirate, played by the great Antonio Banderas. I don't need to tell you how great of an actor he is, with such roles like he was a spy dad in the Spy Kids films, he was a black masked crusader in the Zorro movies, and he was also a fairy tale cat in the Shrek films, and even got his own spin-off. Anyways, like I said, Burger Beer is the villain of this film. By rewriting a book found on the island above Bikini Bottom, he magically steals the Krabby Patty formula. Sometimes he can be a funny villain too, especially when he's being pestered by a flock of talking seagulls. Plus, his ship is pretty cool when it goes to land because of the use of tires on it, and it even becomes a food stand. And the last character I need to mention is Bubbles, a talking stop-motion dolphin voiced by Matt Berry. He's a dolphin whose responsibility is to keep an eye on the universe, and his lair kind of makes you think of Stargate in a little bit. However, he does serve a great purpose to help SpongeBob and his gang get to the surface by spouting them and turning them from hand-drawn to CGI. But there's one thing he does that makes me think of the show. It's the part where he goes... It almost makes me think of the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick used that sound for censorship. And now it's time to move on to my final words of this movie. Overall, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, was a wonderful comeback to childhood, and a great comeback to hand-drawn animation since the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie. All the characters in this film are still as lovable as the way they were in the show. The jokes are hilarious, and lots of stuff in the films bring back a lot of memories from the show, too. I recommend anyone who's ever loved SpongeBob as a kid, or anyone who loved the show in general, to see this movie. I give it, a 99% of 100. Well done, Nickelodeon. Well done. Well, that's it for today, gang. Be sure to join me next time, because I'll be taking everyone down into another Bible story. But this next one will be taking place before Christ was born. Mustang power.